Everything in the baked food section was out.
Hello and welcome to
we got to do a spooky one.
That was a spooky one. I was starting to be spooky and then you interrupted me.
That didn't sound spooky at all.
Hello and welcome to the Halloween episode of Canadian Politics is Boring. My anus fell off.
That's the sound of anuses falling off.
This is Reese and Jesse. We are in we're on the fancy mics in the small studio. How do you feel about this, Jesse?
I feel cramped. I
Yeah, your
feel
mouth is
sweaty
full.
and hot, and my mouth is full of chocolate.
Think about the listener. Your mouth is full of food and you're chewing into a very sensitive microphone.
Hey, I know that the majority of our reviews are talking about how I should no longer do eating ASMR, but I'm positive there's at least one of our audience members out there who greatly appreciates the effort I put into this. So you're welcome, whoever you are.
I don't believe it. Anyway, do you want to get on with a nice Halloween story and scare the shit out of people?
Can I turn off the lights?
If you want to,
There we go. Oh yeah, that's like
I can't even see you now. All I can see is the light from my laptop.
Hold on, I can see because it's just light from your laptop. So
It's just light from
what
my
if I did like this?
Well, Jesse has lit his face from below using the screen. Can you just turn the light on?
Yeah, I guess it's just not as fun.
It's not really working for me.
I just want to get scared. I want to get a good scare on. All right, turn the light on. There we go.
Hey, do you know what? I was gonna do an episode about a serial killer for Halloween. All I can hear is rustling.
Sorry?
All I can hear is rustling.
These are really good mics. I'm opening up a coffee crisp. Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The secret to recording podcasts on not having the sound of food is not to eat. When you record, you just turn the light off of your back. This is a small room. So now that everyone's captured in the moment and we've set a real tone of spookiness, I'm going to tell you, I was going to do a story about a serial killer and then I realized that everybody knew this story and it was just new to me because I'm new to Canada. So I changed it.
Hold on. What serial killer does every Canadian know?
The man who murdered people and fed them to pigs and then mixed the human meat with the pigs. I can't remember his name.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, everyone I mentioned it to was like...
They're like, oh, Bob from down the street.
Yeah, Robert Picton, that's his name, Robert Picton.
Oh, wow, I got it right with Bob.
Yeah, a Canadian serial killer and former pig farmer, suspected of being one of those prolific killers in Canadian history. And it's a fascinating story, and there's questionable about whether he mixed human meat with pork when he sold it onto, and people ate humans by accident without knowing. But again, it was a fascinating story, but I was like, oh, everyone knows it. I want to tell a story that people don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that one.
Oh, well, I do and everybody else does, but that
I'm once again in the dark. Okay.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, no. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the Nahanni National Park?
No.
So
where is that?
I mentioned this to you before. Remember I talked to you about a little story called the Valley of the Headless Men? Mm-hmm. You just got a mouthful of food. So I suppose it makes sense because
I tried to be quiet this
Halloween
time.
candy. Just don't eat. Just eat before you record, and then nobody else has to go through this. So anyway, in the Northwest Territories,
I leaned back and everything. I was trying to unwrap the wrapper super
it's
quiet.
too sensitive. This studio has got great mics and is small. Nothing in this small studio. No one can escape the sound of recording. Or whatever, I don't know.
That's a terrible horror slogan.
To do it in space.
No one can escape the sound of recording or whatever.
There used to be a T-shirt store that had misreads of like famous slogans and catchphrases.
Oh, yes, I've seen those.
And
They're
my favorite
really
one
funny.
was the Alien poster, and it said, "In space, no one can hear you scream in space." And they had one with Arnie on, like the Terminator, and it said, "I will return." It was so good. Anyway, so the Nahanni National Park is 500 kilometers west of Yellowknife, and it's basically full of these amazing 1,000 meter deep canyons.
Jesus,
it's got. It was recognized by UNESCO in 1978.
This is way up north.
Yeah. Just kind of west of Yellowknife. And it's a sacred place. It's kind of a lot of it is closed off to the general public now, but it's an amazing wildlife reserve. It has this waterfall called Virginia Falls, which is 90 meters tall, which is twice the height of Niagara Falls.
Holy shit!
And at the center is this dramatic spire of rock that stands out in the middle of this waterfall.
What?
It looks amazing. So it's got these amazing hot springs that are heated geothermically below, and some of these pools are the size of bathtubs, so you can actually get in them. Others are really small. And
What are the size of bathtubs?
hot springs.
I'm going.
Hot springs.
They got
So you can-
natural hot tubs.
hot springs.
I guess that's what. I guess that would be a natural hot tub. Yeah.
And,
I've been in a hot. Have you ever been in a hot spring? They're really neat.
No, I haven't. No,
It's really good. I was in one
Nature's
in
hot tub.
in Alberta. Yeah, essentially. I mean, like, okay, there was one of the more popular ones in Alberta, and I went to with a couple of friends of mine on like a road trip where we're going to BC, and we stopped there and we had swim trunks because we knew we were going to go in, and it was like turned public, so it looked like an outdoor pool that you could sit in, but all the water was from the hot spring, right? It wasn't like artificially heated or anything like that. And you'd go in and it was just kind of like room temperature. It wasn't
It was more like a tepid spring.
yeah, we were all kind of convincing ourselves like, oh yay, hot spring. It was a tepid
It was
spring.
a lukewarm spring.
Although it was like, I think it was like late fall or early spring. So it was like chilly out. I'm like, okay, that's neat, I guess. Why are we half naked in the wilderness again? It wasn't the wilderness, but
Yeah. It was
could have been the
downtown
wilderness.
Calgary.
Downtown
Yeah.
wilderness.
Why are we naked in downtown Calgary? It's the Stampede. Everyone is.
Every Saturday.
So these kind of pools took 10,000 years to form, and probably been there since the Ice Age.
Let's go.
So there are like 42.
Let's add this to our road trip list.
It's amazing. So there are 42 mammals, 180 birds.
Oh, wait,
60
no. I retract that. I don't want to go. I know what's coming.
Yeah, 16.
You told
It's
me
called the
before.
Valley of the Headless Men.
Yeah.
16 fish and amphibious species, and human occupation in the area is estimated to have occurred 9,000 to 10,000 years ago, and there's evidence of prehistoric human use in the area. The thing about this is that it's obviously spectacular, it's remote, it's beautiful, and the name Nahanni is from the language of the Dene people, who are the indigenous people of that region, and it means the people over there is the name of Nahanni. Oh, is that so funny?
That's fucking hilarious. Are you kidding me?
people over there.
The people over there. Like, come on.
What's wrong with the people over there?
Because it's kind of like, can you not have thought up a little bit more of a creative name?
Do you want me to explain? This ties into
Oh,
the
God, is this
story.
going to make me feel bad? This
You-
is like,
you
'cause
should-
it's,
no, so-
it's just like a hilarious, like,
No. So the name the people over there.
it's not like the people of the colorful hills or like, you know, the hardened people of the deep valley. It's just the people over there.
Well, do you know what I find interesting is a lot of the indigenous like names for things describe the area. And you get that in a lot of cultures. So in Welsh as well, place names tend to be the church by the river or the bridge that is made of stone. And it's very descriptive. And a lot of the times because there were no signs. So places would be named. You would see a place and you go, oh, that is that place because look, there's a church by a river or, you know, whatever. So I think a lot of it is based on that. That's how they name things. But the reference, the people over there is, and this is part of the mystery. So the Dene said that there was once this mountain dwelling tribe of people that would come down from the mountains, raid and attack and kill and pillage, and then vanish again.
This is the people over there.
The people over there
That did these things.
And then one day they just...
And they couldn't come up with a better name for them than the people over there. I mean, like...
Because they were the people over there, and then that's the thing. One day they just vanished and were never seen again. They would come down from the mountains, attack, and then they just vanished again and became folklore.
That's terrifying.
The people over there is actually quite a creepy name.
I mean, if I was thinking, like, if that could be the title of a horror film.
The people over there is a
The
good
people
name.
over there. It's not actually like bad.
So,
Okay.
like, yes.
I'm looking up. I got to see this. I just gone on Google Maps. What's the name of this? If I could find a physical location, what am I typing in here?
Type in...
The Valley of the Headless Men. I don't think that's going to be on Google.
Nahanni National Park. Nahanni.
N-A-H. Oh, there it is. Nahanni
National Park.
National Park. Okay, so...
Why are you looking at the
I
map?
just want to see where it is.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Oh, it's... Oh, it's... Oh, wow. It's really up there. Okay,
It is so
it's like,
remote. It's incredible.
Yeah, it's quite up.
But and a lot of them, and I want to state this now. A lot of you know, the kind of, hey, where, you know, white people arrived the Europeans arrived in like the 18th century. Like,
I was like holding back laughter. It's just the way you said it, man.
the white people arrived.
No, you're just like, hey, the white people arrived.
I'm really sorry, but the white people arrived in the 18th century in the form of explorers and fur traders. And at the time, the Dene were living like nomadic lifestyles. And a lot of the mythology and the folklore around this comes from, I think it's like people look at religions that are different, and it's very easy for them to imagine like things are magical and spooky because they don't understand it. I think a lot of the mythos around this is because of Europeans coming in and they kind of all this cool folklore that exists is kind of built layers and layers and layers of stuff. So I think that so what happened was the Dene changed.
How do you spell it?
Dene.
Oh,
so when eventually
that might actually be how it's pronounced. I don't know.
Maybe I got it right this time. But this is so in the 19th century they started to stop being nomadic in the area and settle down because the Europeans were kind of settling in Canada, was becoming Canada, and they're like, we live in houses, we don't live nomadic lifestyle. So they were forced into it.
When was this?
19th century.
Okay.
So there's this really cool story. So apparently they would travel when they were still living their traditional lifestyles. The families that lived further up in the remote areas would travel down the river in boats made out of moose skin.
What?
And then they were up to 20 meters long and constructed out of 6 to 10 untanned moose hides sewn together and stretched over a spruce pole frame.
Holy shit.
They would transport entire families, their dogs, cargo, and furs down the river during high water. They would essentially then
A moose canoe.
A moose canoe, but they would then dismantle the boat, sell the hides.
That's going to be the name of my new band.
The moose canoe, moose skin canoe.
That sounds a little.
So then they would trade everything, all the hides the boat was made out of, and then they'd all walk back.
Fuck off.
Yeah, that's what they do every
I suppose
year.
they couldn't really like paddle back upriver, right? Because they'd just be against the stream, against the current, assuming there was a current. So yeah. Oh wow,
Such a cool. But
That's so fucking.
But you have your kids and your dog with you and everything.
Can you imagine? We're going. Okay, kids, get the car. We're going to the market, and you go to the market, and the first thing you do is sell the car.
Exactly. Just take the tires off. This lovely man just bought our wheels. So then, so the people in this area obviously got like huge history. They knew the land really well, and within the national park, there's this 200-mile gorge called the Valley of the Headless Men, and this is where our story gets spooky.
Jesus. Okay, so this is where. Okay, so I'm trying to picture. There's like a settlement, and then further up is like more nomadic settlers. And where is this? The valley? I'm trying to have a picture in my head.
So
but on Google Maps, it's just this giant, like huge thing of tundra.
Well, just really epic mountains, really strong like geographic features, pointy rocks, hot springs mixed with.
Would you say it's between the settlement and the nomads? Just to make it
between the settlement and the nomads.
Yeah, you know,
it was a national park now. It was mainly just wilderness.
Oh, well, no, I meant back in the day.
It would have been wilderness then because everyone was still landing. So
it would have been more wilderness.
more wilderness. But also, there's this area that was supposed to be cursed in the valley, and a lot of the Dene used to avoid that area. They said it was sinister and there was just something foreboding about it, and it tied back to those tales of the people coming down from the mountains and raiding. They just avoided it. They were like, well, why would you go there? Because we've got this folklore about all these terrible things that used to happen.
Which I guess happened. Like
Exactly. So what you find is, and also the landscape was quite dangerous, but that all changed when a thing called the Klondike Gold Rush happened, and people were going to the region looking to find gold.
I didn't actually realize that happened in Canada as well. Every example I've ever seen of the Klondike Gold Rush takes place in the States.
Yeah, but they came up through the Inside Passage in Alaska, and they'd sail up, and then they would cross. They would.
Oh, was the
up.
gold like? Was that? Did it take place in Alaska mainly?
No. Alaska was the quickest way to get to the Klondike by sea, and then they would hike up this really dangerous mountain
is the Klondike
range.
in Canada?
Yeah, it's
really
Yukon.
not. I'm really quite poor at geography.
They would access Canada through the Inside Passage in Alaska. I've been there. I've ridden the train from one
Americans
of the little...
would come to Canada to
People from all around the world would come to Canada
to take our gold, and was there no opposition to this from like the government or?
It was crazy times. People didn't care. There was no such thing as zoning.
Well, no, they would still protect their territory back then.
But I've been to that part of the Inside Passage and crossed over the border into Yukon, which was the old trail, and there's some amazing museums and relics and old bridges and stuff. It's fascinating. But
I edited a video about the Yukon once now, and it was all about like gold. And panhandling for gold. Is that what it is?
Panning for gold.
Panning, not panhandling. So please give me some gold. Do you have any spare gold?
Anyone got any gold? So to this area, this kind of forbidden, spooky area, you then had Western people or Europeans stumbling into this forbidden, dangerous landscape, looking for gold.
And this was. It was the 1800s, or
this was the 1800s into the early 20th century.
Okay.
So in the spring of
this is fucking cool. This is really cool.
So in the spring of 1905,
I swear to God, I have never enjoyed history, and you know how much I hate politics, and I have never learned so much about any country's history, especially my own, until I met you.
Well,
and including I now know things about politics thanks to you. Like it's kind of fucking crazy. Anyway, please continue with this fascinating history lesson of which I would have never, ever, ever learned if it weren't for you trying to. I don't know why we do this, but anyway, please continue.
Well, our first decapitation story starts with Willie.
Wait, can you say that in like a children's narrator voice?
Our first decapitation starts in the kitchen. No, so Willie and Frank McLeod were.
You're not making that up.
Willie and Frank McLeod. No.
Willie and Frank
McLeod. Teamed up with a young Scottish engineer to go and find gold in the area. And
so these were brothers.
These were brothers, and they were teaming up, and they'd heard that they'd found some gold in near the area, and they wanted to do an expedition up there. And they were never seen alive again.
What's that coming down the driveway, Reese?
It's me with a fresh delivery from the ad man. Come smell it.
I will come smell it. I love how your ads smell.
Oh, golly, it's fresh.
Yeah, stuff it in my face.
Fresh ads.
Smack me in the face with it. Oh, yeah, just the way I like it. Ads.
So 3 years later, after a prolonged search, their brother Charlie, who found the skeletons of Frank and Willie decapitated on the river in Dead Man's Valley, which is another part of...
Hold on, did he find their decapitated heads?
He found their decapitated skeletons.
How did he know it was them?
I guess maybe they had they still had their clothes on. Maybe they had friendship bracelets with his names on, Frank and Willie. They probably had their stuff, I guess.
Oh yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So now there's this legend of the lost.
The heads weren't there.
No, they were decapitated.
But they were decapitated, but were the heads removed?
No, I
taken.
I couldn't find the information actually, but maybe wolves took them. I don't know. And then, so this started the thing, this legend of the lost McLeod mine. So the idea that maybe they found gold and there's this amazing mine full of gold that they were killed over. So and also, and this is so the area they were killed in was Dead Man Valley or Dead Men Valley. There's also Headless Creek, Headless Range, and the Funeral Range are all the place names. So it's kind of ominously named.
Yeah, no shit.
So because,
this is fascinating.
So there was this gold rush, and they were like, "Hey,
so this isn't like a myth. There's
myths, but there's also some stuff that happened." Too.
I mean, those are called facts.
Some facts, yeah, stuff that happened this via. So.
Oh my God, man. Like, if there are any history teachers out there, can you change the name of your class to stuff that happened?
Stuff that happened. No, it should be called Stuff We Think Happened.
Stuff we think.
Yeah. Stuff that arguably happened. So there was...
This is fascinating.
So there were a bunch of other people. So this Sourdough Jack... his name was Sourdough Jack Stanier. Was one of the best.
His names are fantastic.
And he kept looking for them as well. He made a few trips up the river and by plane later in the century. So he knew the area where they were found. In 1935, with the aid of a map, he went up to try and find the gold mines that they thought they'd found, and they did find a rusty pan and a shovel and some tools that had been left behind. So they were murdered. So they finally traced roughly where they were digging and camped out, and they didn't really find any gold. Then Martin Jorgensen, a prospector from Yukon, also died in 1917. He apparently found some gold and sent a message that he'd struck it rich. And when his friends came over to find him, they found his cabin burned to the ground and he was shot from a distance.
I'm sure they found him that way.
And they found a headless skeleton.
Yeah, so like, okay. I have a
So
different,
another decapitated corpse.
I have a twist on this story that I think might have happened.
Okay.
What if Jorgensen?
Jurgen?
Jurgen? Is that his name?
Jorgensen.
What if Jurgen didn't have really great friends?
Well,
Okay, what if his friends weren't really
if you were in the middle of nowhere, say me and you were in the middle of nowhere,
Yeah.
and we found a big lump of gold, and I was like, if I kill Jesse, this gold will all be mine, and no one will know. Look where we are.
Exactly. That's where I'm going with this. So he sent a message to his quote-unquote friends.
But when his friends turned up-
showed up,
Oh, no.
decapitated him, and burned his house to the ground, and then took the gold, came back, and said, we found him this way.
We found him, yeah.
I mean...
Maybe. Well, and then also they never
Dickheads.
They never found a little girl called Allie Laferte who was on a hunting party in 1926, and she just vanished into the bush, was never seen again.
Was that a French word? French name?
Annie Laferte. Then there was a mystery surrounding the Yukon Fisher, an outlaw wanted by the RCMP. Fisher's bones were found in 1927, right next to where the original brothers, the McLeod brothers, were found shortly before. Then Angus Hall, a prospector who went to stake a claim in Flat River in 1928, which is part of the valley. The party he was with was slow, so he pushed ahead alone and was never seen again.
Jesus. This is where you go if you want to murder someone, people. Just letting you know.
Exactly. So there's so many people have had grisly fates here, and
Right.
but you think it's remote. Not many people have gone there. I don't know what percentage of people die, but it seems like most people who go there die.
Right.
At the moment.
Yeah. So, like, is
So-
it supernatural? Is it just, like, do people just, like, well, I don't know, man. Like,
So then there was also Phil Powers in 1931.
got another great name.
They found his charred bones.
You can't go there if you have an awesome name.
I know.
If you have a shitty name, go ahead.
And the RCMP think that they blamed a faulty stove in his cabin, but apparently he was very he knew what he
They
was doing.
blamed a faulty stove for his decapitation.
Yeah. But some people claim that what they believe happened was that someone standing outside the cabin had shot him and then burnt the cabin down with him inside, which seems to be another recurring thing.
Right.
More people more people disappeared on the river in like 1936 as well. And people spent years searching for them, which is Bill Eppier and Joe Mulholland disappeared.
What was Bill's last name?
Eppier. And Joe Mulholland.
Eppier?
Eppier.
E-P-I-E-R?
Yeah.
Oh, you got that one right.
Yeah, thank you.
That's well done. That's French.
Oh, thank you.
Bravo.
Thank you very much.
Oh, wow. Can we?
Mange too?
All right, never mind. Yeah. You were doing well for a second.
And again, their cabin was burned to the ground, 100 miles above Virginia Falls.
All right.
Then this other person this is 1946 now. We're not even halfway through the 20th century, and all these people have died and vanished or been burned alive.
Right.
1946, Hal Hendrickson, a miner from
Hold on, okay. This just keeps going then.
From a miner from BC, put a classified ad in a Vancouver paper asking for volunteers to accompany him to Headless Valley to look for gold. He had 154 letters within a week, and 500 people begged to go with him.
500 people out of 154 letters?
Yeah.
So, like, me and my...
I guess some people would turn up at his house going, I'll come.
Okay.
And then...
This is neat. When did this happen?
This was 1946.
1946, okay.
Yeah.
So... Okay. So, sorry.
So I think he was more selected. I think there was some random... I think there were women and children saying, we'll come with you.
Right. What was his name again? Sorry. I'm really bad with names.
Hal Hendrickson.
That's okay. That's an okay name.
And then
That's not bad. No. I'm the name judger here.
And then, but also
So what did Frank? It's Frank Hal Hendrickson. Jesus.
Hal Hendrickson, his name was.
Frank.
No, Hal Hendrickson.
Where did I get Frank from?
Did I say Frank? Sorry, I think I'm getting confused with Frank Henderson, somebody else who went up there with his partner called Jack Patterson.
Okay, I want to stay on the guy who sent out an ad, got 154 letters and 500 people.
That's all I could really find out about it. So it was just the people were desperate to go and find a fortune in the wilderness,
but
so
they wanted to have a group of people go with them to keep them safe.
They're like, hey, let's go.
So you couldn't find any more on that particular story?
No.
Because that sounded like it was going to be interesting.
It was, but then in the same year, a mining expert called Frank Henderson went up and agreed to meet. He was going to rendezvous there with somebody called Jack Patterson. And what happened was
another great name.
And his partner never met up, and people just go missing there all the time. All these parties were going, hey, I'll meet you there, and we'll do this, and they never met up.
Did they die? Or they just disappear? Or
well, no, sometimes they find the bones, sometimes they never find anything ever again.
Jesus.
And then in 1947,
so a lot of people go there and they just disappear. Sometimes the skeletons are found, sometimes they're just never found.
Sometimes and a worrying amount of decapitated heads, decapitated bodies are found with no head.
Hold on. So the decapitation started in the 18th century, the 1800s.
The early 20th century.
The early 20th century. And they kept going into the mid 21st century.
Yeah, bearing in mind, in an area called the Valley of the Headless Men.
Not 21st century, the 20th century, sorry.
It was called the Valley of the Headless Men before the decapitation, so there must be some kind of folklore that led to that name.
This is insane. This is nuts. So this is the 1940s. People are still being decapitated.
No, people are just vanishing.
Okay, at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
So
I'm trying to keep track of all this. You're throwing a lot of names at me.
I know. So, So Frank Henderson, who went up there, who lost his partner up there, Patterson, he said that the whole valley had this kind of sinister, weird feeling to it. He flew up there with a journalist from the Vancouver Sun in 1947.
Yeah.
And then in 1962...
I'm trying to picture what the obituaries of these people would read like.
Yeah, we told him not to go. And then in 1962, the pilot of a light aircraft survived a crash unscathed and built a camp a short distance from there and was able to survive in the valley for a while. He started to write down his experience in his diary and watched as a search aircraft flew over and he tried to get their attention. He was only about 6 miles away from where he was hoping to fly, so he wasn't far away, but he didn't know where he was. He lost track of his location.
Oh my God.
He waited for 50 days.
Holy shit, how did he survive?
He didn't. All they know is his diary ended abruptly. And 6 months later, they found his plane by chance and his camp and his diary. And to this day, no further trace of him was ever found.
Oh my God, they didn't even find the body.
No, just his diary. Dear diary.
Oh my God, that's fucking... What's his name?
That was... I can't find his name, but it was 1962.
Couldn't find his name.
No, he was a pilot.
I want to look him up.
And people...
Hold on. That was just giving me chills, man. That's
spooky, isn't it?
Yeah, if he, oh my God. Okay, so he was dedicated to writing in this journal, and then if suddenly he decided to go off and explore, I was like, okay, I'm gonna pick a direction.
But he had he had supplies and everything,
right? So but I'm saying if he wasn't taken, right? If he decided to go off in a direction, hoping that's the right direction, why wouldn't he take his diary with him?
Yeah,
right?
Maybe he was carried a lot. He was like, nah, I'll come back for the diary.
Oh, that's amazing.
So
that's amazing.
There are lots of theories about what goes on there.
Hold on a second. If any listener out there, hi dear listeners, if any of you knows more about that story, like their name or just has any more information, could you send us some info on that? I'd kind of like to read more. And I don't want to Google it. That's crazy.
And then also,
that gives me chills.
There's also, so there are lots of theories. Some people just say grizzly bears could just eat them, which is a perfectly reasonable explanation.
Well, not the decapitations.
Some people go down, and then other people go down the...
decapitations is a very specific thing to do to a body.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose a bear could just go and just bite your head off in one.
Have you ever seen a bear? Do you know how big their mouths are? They're not that big.
I suppose.
Well,
they are pretty big.
they're pretty big, actually.
They could eat a Subway sideways.
Could they?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to picture. I'm literally staring at your forehead, picturing if a bear could wrap its entire jowls around your face. This is a fun exercise, fun mental exercise for all those at home. Look at the one next to you, loved one or not, and picture whether or not a bear could swallow their head whole.
There we go.
That's fun.
So, so some people think it could be.
Oh God,
some
my
people
mom
think,
listens to this. And like, Mom, are you looking across
don't do
the
it.
gym right now?
So, some people blame Bigfoot. Some people blame this creature. I think is the Wahilus, which is supposedly this giant white wolf.
Is that like
it's like a huge
mythological creature?
Yeah, like a snow white wolf-like cryptid, described as being like a wolf but much larger with a heavier build. It's attributed with supernatural powers.
So like a direwolf from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, some people are saying that it's
So direwolves have been proven to exist in the past and have gone extinct.
So it could be a folklore memory of a real thing, much like
That would be crazy.
Yeah, much like lots of people believe. Lots of cultures have folklore stories around floods, like Noah, and it's a common thing around the world because at some point most people lived on the coast and it got flooded. So,
Right. Yeah.
so it was saying that some people believe that it could be this, but I mean, what do they do? Just run? Do they just typically run over or bite a head off and run off? Is that what they do? I don't know.
I mean, like a head is pretty filling. I'm guessing, right? Like,
Yeah, that's all I need. So, just to
That
start,
is weird,
start
though,
the day
right? Like-
with a head smoothie.
Jesus.
So,
Oh my God, man.
so
I'm sorry.
but
This is
they-
way too. I'm just like, I think I'm like one episode away from finishing Squid Game, and it's fantastic, but it is graphic, and that just gave me just a horrible imagery. Thank you for that.
And also, some people are like, "Hey, well, is there like some kind of supernatural? The people from over there, are they like supernatural beings that come down and kill, or is that just
Right.
Anyway, but there is actually a really interesting theory about how some of it started. So
Okay.
So 40 miles from the Nahanni area, a loner named Albert Johnson was basically like a hermit. He lived in the wilderness on his own.
Okay.
And he became known as the Mad Trapper of Rat River. And one of the
Did he sell manskins?
no, he was just a loner, and he would just trap animals, sell it.
You said man trapper.
Mad Trapper,
Oh, mad.
the Mad Trapper of Rat River.
I heard man trapper. Like he trapped men
No, he trapped.
and then sold their skins on the market. Jesus Christ. Okay.
So he was reported to on December the 31st for tampering with other people's traps and then hanging them from trees.
Like, this is my territory. Don't put traps in my... This is where I trap.
Exactly.
Right.
So on December the 26th, Constable Alfred King and Constable Joe Bernard, each who
great
knew the
names.
knew the landscape really well. They trekked 60 miles to his cabin to ask him about the allegations. It's like, I don't know, let's go on a 60-mile trek just to ask him if he knows anything about this. Should we?
Jesus Christ.
That's what they used to do in those days. So seeing smoke come from the chimney, they knew he was there. He refused to talk to them and pretended they didn't exist. So
Come on, we just walked 60 miles. Come on. How many kilometers is that? 60 miles.
Eventually,
Hold on a second. Hold on. Hey Siri, how much is 60 miles in kilometers?
60 miles is 0.56 kilometers.
Yeah, it's quite a long way. Yeah. So he ignored them and refused to answer the door of his cabin, and they then they went back to get a search warrant.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
I mean, fair play. They didn't just go, I'm not, this is nearly a 200 kilometer round hike to get a search warrant. Let's just do it now and we'll get the search warrant after.
Holy shit.
So they returned 5 days later with 2 other men and got backup. And he refused to talk. And then they decided to enforce the warrant and kick the door in.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And Johnson started shooting at them through the door.
Oh, wow.
A firefight broke out. And one of the police officers got wounded. So then they all had to go back. They all had to then do another 100-kilometer hike while wounded to go and regroup. And they eventually cornered Johnson on Eagle River in the northern Yukon.
Just to ask him a couple questions.
Do you know anything about this? Oh, no, I wasn't here on Tuesday. Sorry. So it captured the attention of the
50 men with rifles trained on him. And he's like, nope, sorry. Okay, well, thanks for your time. And they turn around and leave. Yeah.
Exactly. But the hunt became like really well known nationally. There was like a media circus around it, and it captured the imagination of the public.
What year was this again?
This was 1931.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I suppose this would have gone into 1932, and eventually what happened was they ended up in a 150-mile or 240-kilometer foot chase lasting more than a month. And then there was a final shootout where Johnson was fatally wounded.
So this whole time, what was it? Johnson was the mad trapper?
Yeah.
He had no idea why this was happening to him.
He'd ignored them. I think he knew that he was in trouble, and he thought he'd ignore them. So they had to go on a 200-kilometer hike to get a warrant. Then
This was all about hanging up other people's traps. That's what this whole thing was about.
Yeah.
And it ended in about a fucking two firefights.
Yeah. And
whereas realistically, had they be like, "Hey, did you do this?" and he'd be like, "Yeah." Can you not?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, but he said it, and then he was shot. This is why they called him the Mad Trapper.
All right. Yeah.
So,
Okay.
but here's the twist, and here's why he's relevant to this story. So he was 40 miles or so away from the area where the decapitations happened. In his possession, after they killed him, they found gold teeth extracted from the mouths of prospectors.
Oh my God. What? Oh wow. Okay.
So the theory is that he was the one killing and decapitating and extracting the gold for the gold fillings.
I mean, oh wow. Right, because it'll be a lot easier to take teeth out of a decapitated head than to drag an entire body back with you.
Yeah.
You get to bring several. Oh my God. So hold on. How long, what time frame were all the decapitations recorded?
It seems like most of them were from 1905 till the 30s or 40s or whatever. I mean, lots of people still disappeared, but people disappear in the wilderness all the time.
Right. But that's the period of time where most of the...
Yeah, it's one theory. It doesn't necessarily solve the whole thing, but is a really interesting story.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And his name again?
The Mad Trapper.
Yeah, but his actual name.
His name was Albert Johnson. The Mad Trapper of Rat River.
That's fucking amazing.
So,
and he died, did he?
He got
was in
killed
the shootout.
after that massive. This is like you know when people watch police chases live on the news.
But this is trekking through snow.
This was
in the north.
It's just a 240-kilometer foot chase. And he's currently traveling 6 miles an hour up a hillside. And has been for the last month. That's our Halloween episode.
Oh, that was great.
Did you like it?
I did. Yeah, that was crazy. I feel like sometimes you jam pack so much interesting shit into one single episode that I feel like we could take it apart and do it over several episodes.
Nah.
I feel like there's a lot to unpack there. There's several stories, right?
Yeah,
and
but
just as I was getting interested in one story, we're on to another one.
Nah.
No, you're good. Okay, fine.
This is a comedy show. We're not going to forensically dissect these incidents in a way that we go. So, what is your hypothesis, Jesse? What do you think happened? It's just some fun, cool shit that we
cool shit. All right.
Yeah, stuff that may have happened. AKA history.
Yeah.
So yeah,
that was great. So thank you for. I actually got it was nice. It was a little chilly, a little spooky.
So
cool.
I think this is all it's a dangerous wilderness. You're really remote, far away from anywhere. It's easy to get lost. It looks like a beautiful place, and if any listeners have been there, it's not an easy place to visit because it is so remote. And it's highly protected because it's sacred, but there's also amazing wildlife there, amazing geographical features. But if you've been lucky enough to be, let us know.
Yeah, no, we want to hear more about
fantastic.
this.
And I personally,
the Valley of the Headless. What is it? Dolls? No, that's not it.
Valley of the Headless Men.
The Valley of the Headless Men. The Valley of the Head. Can
we
say it together in a deep voice?
The people over there.
The people over there.
The people over there.
Oh, Jesus! All right,
that was actually Satan, not Jesus.
Right? Yeah. Sorry. Can you imagine if Jesus
would have
that?
been like the people over there? Imagine if he'd sound like a social worker when he talked.
Jesus is from Oxfordshire, is he?
It's a social worker from Oxford. Rides a bike to work, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paper bagging.
So happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
I hope none of you get decapitated.
That's a very nice sentiment, Reese. Thank you.
But if you do have gold fill-ins, there is a risk.
So what is our call to action for our listeners tonight?
Don't get decapitated.
I mean, I think that's kind of like a daily thing, really. Yeah.
Just especially so.
Oh, I got one for you. Okay, so trick or treat. Go out by yourself. Someone's got to do this. If you got kids, wait until they come back. Or like do it. The whole idea here is to go out by yourself, not dressed up as anything, and knock on a door just with a paper bag in your hands and ask for candy, especially if you're a grown ass man. That's your call to action today.
What if you're a woman?
Not allowed.
Cool. Okay. Jesse's patriarchal Halloween celebrations.
You're welcome.
Or go out dressed. Can somebody please go door to door with their kids dressed? If we go as Aaron O'Toole.
Is that an O'Toole mask?
That's your costume.
There should be.
Just Aaron O'Toole.
Oh my God, that'd be
Cool.
amazing.
All right, bye everyone.
Bye-bye. Happy Halloween. Yeah. Ew, no.
Everything in the baked goods section was out.